The transmission crackled through the void, barely coherent through layers of static and desperation. Captain Sarah Chen leaned forward in her command chair aboard the UES Prometheus, her dark eyes fixed on the main display where alien script scrolled past in stuttering fragments. "Can we clean this up?" she asked her communications officer. Lieutenant Torres worked furiously at his console. "Getting something now, Captain." It's a distress call. Multiple species. They're asking for basic rations, medical supplies. Sounds like they're starving. The bridge fell silent except for the steady hum of life support systems. Chen had been expecting many things when humanity's first deep space exploration fleet encountered alien civilizations. But she hadn't expected this. "Location?" she asked. "Kepler 442 system, Captain. 3 days at maximum burn." Chen stood, her uniform crisp despite months in deep space. Around her, the bridge crew waited. These were humanity's finest. Scientists, explorers, diplomats, and warriors all rolled into one. They had trained for first contact scenarios, but nothing quite like this. "Set course for Kepler 442, she ordered, "and signal the rest of the fleet. We're going in hot, but we're going in ready to help." 3 days later, the human fleet dropped out of hyperspace to witness devastation on a scale that defied comprehension. What had once been a thriving system of multiple inhabited worlds now showed the scars of a war that had consumed everything. Orbital stations hung broken and dark. Planetary surfaces glowed with the angry red of nuclear fire. Ships, the desperate survivors of a dozen different species, drifted powerless between the ruins. "My God," whispered Dr. Martinez, the fleet's chief xenobiologist. "What happened here?" The answer came in fragments over the next several hours as the humans made contact with the survivors. The HFY Collective, a militant alliance of 3 aggressive species, had swept through this region of space like a plague. They had demanded total submission from every world they encountered. Those who resisted were destroyed. Those who submitted were enslaved. But something had gone wrong with the HFY's conquest. Their supply lines had collapsed. Their fleets had turned on each other in desperate power struggles. In the end, they had simply vanished, leaving behind a graveyard of civilizations and the scattered survivors of a dozen peaceful species who had never wanted war in the first place. "They've been living off emergency rations for 8 months, reported Commander Williams from the relief ship Mercy's Hand. "Some of them are down to recycled atmospheric proteins. They're literally eating air." Captain Chen made her decision with the swift certainty that had earned her command of humanity's most important mission. "Signal all ships. Begin Operation Abundant Table immediately." What followed would become legend throughout the galaxy. The humans didn't just deliver basic rations. They brought their agricultural ships, massive vessels designed to feed colony expeditions, and began producing fresh food on an industrial scale. Hydroponic bays that had been meant to sustain human colonies for years were retooled in days to accommodate the dietary needs of species the humans had never encountered before. When the Zephyrians mentioned their young were dying because their milk equivalent could no longer be synthesized, human engineers worked 36 hours straight to modify protein synthesizers. When the crystalline Threnody spoke wistfully of the harmonic fruits that had grown on their homeworld, human botanists managed to recreate them using nothing but atmospheric readings and cultural databases. But the food was just the beginning. "Captain," Dr. Martinez reported on day 12 of the relief operation, "the survivors are asking why we're doing this. They want to know what we want in return." Chen paused in reviewing supply manifests. Around her, the bridge hummed with activity as her crew coordinated the largest humanitarian operation in human history. "What did you tell them?" "The truth. That we don't want anything. They don't believe us." The Vrex ambassador, a tall insectoid being whose people had once commanded 7 star systems, made the long journey to the Prometheus in person. Chen received him in the ship's main conference room where the walls displayed images of Earth. Blue oceans, green forests, cities that sparkled with life. "I must understand," the Vrex clicked through his translator. "Your species has capabilities we have never seen. Your ships carry weapons that could level continents, yet you feed our children. Your fabricators produce abundance from stellar dust, yet you ask for nothing. Why?" Chen considered her words carefully. "Ambassador, what would you have us do? Leave you to starve?" "Yes." The word burst from the alien's voice box with surprising force. "That is what species do. The strong consume the weak. The Kethavar taught us this. Your own history must have taught you this. Our history taught us something different, Chen replied quietly. We learned that the strong are judged by how they treat the weak. We learned that a civilization's worth isn't measured by how much it can take, but by how much it can give. The Vrex was silent for a long moment. You truly expect nothing? We expect you to survive. We expect you to rebuild. And someday, when another species faces what you've faced, we expect you to remember this moment and choose to help instead of harm. Over the following months, something unprecedented began to happen. The survivors didn't just rebuild, they flourished. Human ships brought not just food and medical supplies, but knowledge. Engineering techniques that had taken humanity centuries to develop were shared freely. Agricultural methods that could turn barren worlds into gardens were taught to anyone who wanted to learn. The Zephyrians, master mathematicians, began developing new navigation algorithms alongside human scientists. The Threnodi, whose crystalline biology allowed them to process electromagnetic radiation in ways humans couldn't imagine, helped design communication arrays that could span galaxies. The Vrex, whose natural organizational abilities were legendary, began coordinating the reconstruction effort across multiple star systems. But it was what happened when the Kethvar returned that truly defined humanity's place in the galaxy. They came in force, expecting to find the scattered, starving survivors they had left behind. Instead, they found a coalition of species supported by ships bearing the blue and green flag of Earth. The human fleet had grown as well. Reinforcements had arrived monthly, drawn by reports of the reconstruction effort. The Kethvar demanded submission. They threatened destruction. They spoke of their superior weapons and their right to rule. Admiral Chen, promoted to lead the entire human expeditionary force, gave them a different choice. You can leave, she broadcast on all frequencies. You can return to your space and never threaten these people again, or you can face the consequences of your actions. The Kethvar chose war. It lasted exactly 43 minutes. Human ships moved with precision that seemed impossible to beings who understood only brute force. They targeted weapons, engines, and command systems with surgical accuracy. They disabled entire fleets without destroying a single ship. And when the last Kethvar vessel hung powerless in space, Admiral Chen opened another channel. Your crews are welcome aboard our medical ships, she announced. Your wounded will be treated alongside our allies. Your ships will be repaired and returned to you. But understand this. If you threaten any peaceful species again, we will not be so gentle. The transmission that went out from Kepler 442 3 months later reached every corner of the galaxy. It was simple, broadcast in 1,000 languages by 1,000 different voices. Humanity has joined the galactic community. They came when we begged for rations. They delivered feasts, forgiveness, and a fleet capable of protecting the innocent. The galaxy is no longer a place where only the strong survive. The galaxy is now a place where the strong protect the weak, and all species can prosper together. In the command center of the rebuilt Kepler station, Admiral Chen watched the final human agricultural ship depart for home. Around her, beings from a dozen species worked side by side, their differences now strengths rather than divisions. Admiral, her aide reported, we're receiving distress calls from the Andromeda Spiral. 3 species requesting assistance against slavers. Chen smiled, the expression carrying all the determination that had brought humanity to the stars. Signal the fleet, she ordered. We have work to do. The galaxy had learned a new truth. When the weak called for help, humanity answered. And they always answered with more than anyone dared to hope for.